Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pyrus Projects. So today I'm going to go ahead and get the fire door cut out of the front of that one rim and get the other holes. Well, here, let me just flip the camera around and I'll show you. Okay. Like I said, I was going to get this centerpiece cut out here, and then I'm going to go ahead and start filling in these holes so that it'll seal up the front of it, get this piece ready for the glass, which is going to be a little while, and I'm still thinking about how I'm going to do the hinge for the front of this. So I'm going to get the tripod set up to do some time-lapse stuff. We'll get this cut apart, and then when I get to the point where I'm going to start filling in these holes, I'll show you a little more in depth of how I'm actually going to go about doing these. When I did the top piece of the stove and the bottom for the fire bowl, I just slapped in a plate and just welded it in. These I'm going to try and be a little bit more, I don't know what the word for it is, to make them look a little nicer. Because, you know, it'll be the very front of the stove that you can actually see versus stuff that's hidden inside or on top of the stove that you can't see. So, not sure how I'm going to work that out yet, but I do want to make this look a lot nicer from the outside of the rim. So let me get this centerpiece cut out, then I'll flip the rim over and show you how I'm going to go about doing all these holes. Okay, so as you've seen in the fast forward segment, I was running the plasma torch around, went ahead and cut my seam to take the front piece off. I already went ahead and went around with the grinder and cleaned up all the slag and everything, but I don't know if you'll be able to see them here. I made 3 witness marks all the way around with some soapstone so they can get the door line back up. So when I actually go to put the hinge on, I'm getting it in the right place so that it'll close evenly. Because obviously, you know, with running a plasma torch, you got a couple of, well, you can see one right here, a couple of little zigzags. So when I go to put the door on, I want all of those oddball marks to line back up. So I got 3 witness marks, one here, and one here, and they're unevenly spaced so that I know that the door is sitting where it needs to sit to be even. Let me pop this off. Ooh, that's a little warm. Hold that thought. Use my glove here. All right. Then I went ahead and knocked the slag off the inside edges and just kind of rounded them over. I figure I'm going to be reaching in here a lot to cap these holes out. I don't want to be dragging, you know, my hands or arms on these rough slags, so I kind of smoothed everything out. So now I'm going to set the camera in the tripod and grab some cardboard and show you how I'm going to go about making all of the plates that need to go in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a little bit of CAD work here, you know, cardboard aided design. Take my piece of cardboard, stick it inside here, kind of like so, and then I'll just trace it out. And there I have the oval shape for the window. I'll get that cut out, traced onto a piece of sheet steel, because I don't think I can use the cardboard as my template with the plasma cutter. That might not be a good idea. I might catch myself on fire or something, but I'll get this cut out, trace it out to the some steel, then get that cut out, and I'll show you what I got. Okay. And get the camera set back in place here. So here's my thought. I got my oval cut out for the window. I should be able to get quite a handful out of this section here. So Just go around it with my soapstone. Now, when I cut that out, that should fit right inside the window of the rim. So I'll draw up a couple more of these, get them cut out. And when I come back, I'll show you getting it fit into place correctly. All right, so I got all my little ovals cut out. Spent some time with the bench grinder getting them cleaned up so that they fit real decent like in here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll tack it in the center of the oval. Maybe actually do a little more than a tack. And then I'll warm up the metal and bend it down so it matches, the curve of the rim so that I can fully weld them in. Then I'll go through, once I get them welded nice, I'm going to try and grind the welds down a little bit to make it more smooth with this surface, so that I don't have the big beads sticking out on top here. Just want it to look real nice and clean. It's going to take a while to get it perfected, but I think the finished product will look much, much better than, well, here, let me show you what the other one looks like. Yeah, as you can see on this one, I just put the plate in from behind and just welded the seam front and back, or outside, inside, whatever you want to call it. Whereas the one I want to do for the firebox door, this will be all nice and smooth, and you hopefully won't be able to tell that this was ever an open hole. So yeah, once I get these all plugged in, like I said, I'm going to tack weld them at the top and bottom of these ovals. Then I'll bust out the torch, warm the metal up, and fold it into these corners so that it matches the radius. And hopefully when I get all done, you won't ever tell that there was ever a hole. It'll look more like this right here. That's the goal. I'm not promising anything, but that's what I'm going to shoot for. So I'm going to get the grinder put back away because I don't need it anymore, and start getting to work on that, and I'll catch you folks up in a little while. Okay, here's where I stand now. After thinking about it, I realized I wasn't going to be able to get my grinder down in here far enough to take these beads off. So instead of just grinding the top half and leaving the bottom, I tried to go real slow and make these as neat as I could, because I'm not going to be able to hide them. I can't grind them down. The only way I'd be able to grind them down is if I had one of those, what do they call them? It's a finger sander, where it's a real skinny belt that runs around a real narrow armature. That would be about the only way to go in this way to do it. Can't get a 4-inch angle grinder in there, so I'm just going to go with what I have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, weld the insides all the way around so that I know I have a good seal. And then I'm going to go ahead and permanently weld my bands that I had just tacked when I had it on the body, and get that ready to go back onto the body. I still need to figure out what I'm going to do for the door. I have an idea. I just got to see if I can find the parts to pull it off. If I can't find the parts to pull it off, I'm going to have to rethink it, and it's probably not going to happen today. So let me get this rim flipped over. I'll weld the insides, get the bands welded on, and I might go ahead and just permanently mount it to the main body of the stove. That way all of that's done, and all I have to do is figure out the hinge for the door so that I can obviously load wood. So I'll get all that done, and we'll get you caught up again in a little while. Okay, so here's where we're at now. I got all of my ovals welded on the inside of the rim. I went ahead and welded the straps all the way around on both the inside and the outside. You can just barely see right there. Then I went ahead and I beveled these edges along here, and I also beveled the edges where it sits on the main body right here. Being that I'm not going to be able to weld on the inside of that to the body, I I figure if I give it a bevel, I can get better penetration with my welds before as I put it together. Before I go any further, I think I'm going to let all of these pieces cool down a little bit because it's probably about 100 degrees in my shop right now. And obviously with welding, the metal's really, really hot. So I'm going to give everything a chance to cool down, maybe get a drink of water, and I'll get it set back, or I'll get everything set up so I can weld the door to the main body. And I'll come back and check up with you when I get to that point. Okay, so I've got everything stacked back up on my little jig here. Make it easier to work on instead of sitting on the floor. But at any rate, I'm going to work through starting to weld this strap to the flat plate that I did to the body and start going all the way around. I think I'd mentioned in the previous video or two, I don't remember which one it was now, about using some 1/4-inch round rod to tuck up along the seams to kind of clean it up and make it look nice. I think I'm still going to go ahead with that, but I'm going to need to, at minimum, fully weld this seam before I start. I'll tack it in a couple of places, and then I'll start forming the rod to fit around here. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to last out here in this barn, though, because it is getting ridiculously hot. I think the weather people are saying it's 92 outside with a real feel of over 100. It's got to be at least that in my barn right now. So being that I'm doing this mostly as a hobby and trying to enjoy myself, I don't see any point in making myself sick doing this. So I'll plug along until I feel like I'm done with it, or I'm just getting too hot and can't take it no more. We'll see how it goes. All right, so here's where I stand at this point. I got the strap around this side all welded in. I just went ahead and welded all the way up around. I ended up having to do a couple of base passes or root passes to fill these gaps in. I tried to bend that 1/4-inch rod I was talking about, and I just could not get it to bend and lay the way I wanted it to. So I had to do it the hard way and just fill in the gaps. But I've got it welded all the way around on both sides. There's a couple of spots that don't look real great, which is what I was afraid of, having to do it this way. But like I said, I couldn't get that 1/4-inch rod to bend in there and sit the way I wanted it to, and not having my acetylene torch ran out of fuel, so I have no way to heat the rod to bend it as nice as I wanted to. So I'm just going to have to live with what I got. I may go ahead and try and weld. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Yeah, just barely. If I could get the camera out of the light, I may go ahead and try to weld down along these seams, but I think I've got it welded solid enough that it might not matter. It's not like the barn is hermetically sealed, so even if a little bit of smoke escapes. Oh, I just noticed I need to fill in this valve stem hole right there. I forgot about that, but I'll get that later. So this is where I sit for the time being. Since I cannot continue on with doing the door because I don't have anything for the hinge yet, I think I will just go ahead and pull the plug for today. Go inside, maybe take a cool shower and start editing this video. But I hope everybody had a good Independence Day weekend, and we'll see you next time.